Hi, welcome back to the Platinum Yard Hi-Fi and AV review channel. Today I'm going to review two premium hi-fi and AV subwoofers. These subwoofers are manufactured by Rel and we're going head to head for a direct comparison, as both of these subwoofers weigh in near enough the same. They look very similar, but there's £1,000 difference with the price tag. But before we get into it, I need to give Nintronics a big shout out for allowing me to audition these subwoofers. If you've never heard of Nintronics, their details can be found here. Check out the website, they have all kinds of products and their prices are hard to beat. Now let's head to their website to compare the specs. Okay, this is Rel's official website and I've selected the Carbon Special and the S812. So looking at them both, on the face of things, they near enough read exactly the same. The Carbon Special and the S812 both use a front-firing driver accompanied by a down-firing passive radiator. Both of the active drivers are 12 inches and they are both long throw drivers. The difference here is the Carbon Special implements a carbon fibre cone, whereas the S812 implements a cast alloy cone. It's also important to note that the S812 implements carbon fibre behind the cone to add additional rigidity and support. Both subwoofers share the same 12-inch carbon passive radiator. Looking at the low frequency extension is interesting. You can see they record here -6 dB at 19 Hz in room for the Carbon Special and -6 dB at 19 Hz for the S812. But in person I can tell you, they both sound like very different subs. Both subwoofers share the same input and output connectors. You can see they support their high-level Nutrix speak-on, 2 RCAs low level, 1 LFE RCA and 1 LFE XLR, and on the output the high-level Nutrix speak-on, 1 LFE RCA, 1 LFE XLR. Power output. Now this is what we all want to know. The S812 has an 800 watt rating. The Carbon Special gives you a little bit more juice at 1000 watts. Now, there's not much in it, according to the stats. And this is why data doesn't always give you the full story. Okay, there's your confirmation. The same next gen 5 class D amp, the 812 slightly throttled down, and they both support the Rel Airship wireless connectivity. Looking at the dimensions, the numbers are broadly the same. The Carbon Special is slightly deeper and weighs 4 kilograms more. In person, you will really struggle to see the difference. Right, to start the audition, I played several songs from the Bob Marley and the Wailers album. This album features some heavy bass notes and lots of bass heavy content around and below 40 Hz. I also think it's important to note what speakers the Rel subwoofers were matched with, and I was graced with the fast and transient Martin Parker bookshelf speakers, which convey a wide soundstage and clear and natural presentation. So I guess what I'm saying here is that the Rels had their work cut out, and for me to be impressed, the subs would need to add a decent amount of warmth without making things sound boomy or muddy. So with the volume turned up so I can feel it, the S812 had my foot tapping to Bob Marley's Natural Mystics. It was fast and seemingly invisible, nicely filling out the bottom end where the Martens tailed off. As I was rocking through the album and listened to several more tracks, it was clear to me that the S812 had the ability to play every bass note confidently, unlike some other subwoofers that sometimes sound out of key on the higher notes. So I started to get a good feel for these subwoofers now, so I switched things up and put on some Busta Rhymes and Mariah Carey, and listened to a title called Where I Belong. Now this has some crazy 50Hz madness which truly transformed the S812 into Godzilla or one of the other giant creatures on Kong's Island. And at this point I really started to enjoy myself and put on Michael Jackson's bass heavy 2000 watt track. This track has some thunderous bass and really made the S812 work. At this point I started to see the sub lose a little bit of composure and become a little bit more tense. Within 10 seconds of replaying the albums I previously heard, I was completely blown away. It does everything the S812 can do, but with more composure. The Carbon Special was also more responsive and required a lot less gain to deliver the same output. This was more noticeable with the Bob Marley album. I guess the additional power gives the Carbon Specials the ability to play frequencies around 30Hz a lot louder. I was also surprised that in comparison, the Carbon sounds like a much bigger sub, and actually sounds as big as my Arendal 1723 1V, which is a ported giant. But the Carbon also gives you speed. As a result, it's faster and more musical. Whilst I enjoyed the sound from my seating position, I decided to move out of my listening seat and walk around the room. And I was greeted with room-filling bass and a very wide sweet spot. Now, I want to make this really clear. The Rail Carbon had no issues filling the room with quality bass. And what impressed me most was its ability to remain in character even under pressure. It could handle everything without any stress or strain. Okay, based on the specs alone, I didn't think there'll be much difference between the two subwoofers. I initially thought that I would go out and audition these speakers and review that they are both quite similar and the law of diminishing returns is kicking ass. I thought I could potentially give you guys some feedback that will enable you to save £1,000 and go for the cheaper option, which is the Rail S812. But this taught me that specs aren't everything, and actually, in order to understand whether something's right for you, you have to try it on. And on that note, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button, smash a like. Thanks for watching.